Stefan, what are the main challenges on climate change from your perspective?
Well, that's a very good question, but I would say there are two major things. One thing is bringing down the costs for renewable energy, accelerating the deployment of renewable energy. And the second thing is the urgent removal of fossil fuel subsidies. There is still $60 billion per year paid to subsidize the energy that creates the problem of climate change.
Right. And as regards funding, talking about the Green Fund, talking about the UNFCCC fundings, I mean, what do we need to learn? What do we need to do to ensure that the money is, first of all, the money that's pledged is paid, and then that money is spent sensibly?
Well, the best way to accelerate the deployment of renewable energy in the various countries is to have a decent and stable and reliable policy that actually provides incentives for investors to do big business on renewable energy. So feed-in tariffs is one of these policies that has proved successful. So for developing countries, it is still challenging to implement such a policy, and therefore we have the Green Climate Fund that is supposed to provide 100 billion euros or $100 billion per year up from 2020. Now the question is, how do you distribute this money, and where does the money come from? The World Future Council has a suggestion to make use of the mechanism of special drawing rights from the International Monetary Fund, basically printing money using this currency from the IMF and providing substantial financial resources for the Green Climate Fund. And we're suggesting national feed-in tariff funds then to make sure that this budget is being allocated only by performance to accelerate the deployment of renewable energy.
Right. I mean, is there a message that it can be profitable for potential investors to invest in renewable energy?
Well, if you look into these jurisdictions that have employed or that have deployed this feed-in tariff policies and that have a decent policy that really has the right incentives, it works. It works fantastic. In Germany, for example, just within 10 years, the renewable energy development went up from 3 to 15% electricity, which is enormous. So we have this political mechanism in place. We know how it should be designed, and what we now need to provide here in this conference is to make sure that funding for developing countries is being provided so that other countries can implement a similar policy to accelerate the deployment of renewable energy in their own constituencies.
And from what you've seen so far, what you've heard so far in Durban, do you think delegates are open to that way of thinking? Are they open to those ideas?
Well, many delegates are actually willing to do so, but they don't have the mandates from the heads of states. So that is one of the big problems. But I still believe that delegates and that the result of this conference is still a bit likely to happen, that something like the Green Climate Fund, that we will come to a solution where the money will come from. Again, the World Future Council proposes to make use of this existing mechanism of the IMF, of special drawing rights, issuing special drawing rights by the IMF to stuff this Green Climate Fund. And I'm sure this will be discussed here too.
Okay, Stefan, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Covered everything there.